This is a tutorial on the operation of memory maps and in particular how to place particular locations on the map. So for this tutorial, we're going to be using the grid references you can see on your screen here. So the first one is a 14-digit UTM grid reference. The next one is latitude and longitude in degrees and minutes. And the third one is an 8-digit grid reference that we use in the RFS, which is related to a UTM grid reference and relevant in the location of the other points there. So let's go to memory maps and start doing this. Well, before we do this, I will copy this grid reference so we can work on it over in memory maps. So the first thing here, we've got memory maps up with New South Wales 1 to 25,000 topo maps, which shows things in a finer detail. So the way to do this is in the bottom row, the first icon from the left, there's a flag. So icon. So if we press that flag icon, it'll drop a flag, it'll drop a marker in the middle of the screen. So generally, I like to drop the marker somewhere abouts where we think this is going to be. If you don't know, drop it anywhere will work, but you'll have to edit more numbers. So I'm going to drop that pin, just pressing that icon, and you can see it's dropped a 0.2 on the screen. So we can we can do a couple of things with this marker. We can actually move it around by grabbing the green movement icon to the bottom right of the flag, and we can move that around and place it on the map somewhere. So if we were wanting to mark a particular point on the map, say, let's zoom in so we can see, say this lock gate here. If we wanted to know exactly where that is so we could give someone a grid reference, we could drop the marker on that point, and we can have a look at the grid reference for that point. So if I drop down that blue to the left and down of the flag, we've got a little sort of blue triangle. So that is an item. If we click on that, we get a menu. And in that menu, we can edit the mark, and we can get some details about that. So including the position. So if we wanted the position of that lock gate, there it is. However, in this case, we want to place the marker at a specified grid location. So the first thing I like to do when I do this is give this point a name. Memory maps will make up a name, P1, P2, P3, etc. But if you need to find these points, it's better to name it. So call it something that is relevant to what you're doing. I'm doing a tutorial, so I'm going to just call this tutorial P1, for example, and pasting that number from the old place just so I can see it here to do the typing. That's where we want to put it. I could just copy and paste it in there, but in truth, often you're not going to be doing that. So, I'm going to do it as if I was looking at it on a bit of paper or something like that. So basically, we just need to translate that number which we're seeing in the, for convenience, in the bottom of the screen, and we've got to, make that number the same. So I like to just change the numbers that I need, and You can sort of use your finger to put the cursor where you want. Another little handy tip for this is you can actually, if you push and hold the space bar and then move around on the space bar, it's like using a mouse on an iPhone. So this can be handy to drop the cursor exactly where you want. The easting will be a 6-digit number if we ignore the 0 on the front. So to make that the same, we've got to go back to there and then do 20933. And then I go over and I edit the northing because I'm roughly in the right area. Some of those numbers will be the same. So 628 is already there. The closer you are to the point that you've dropped, the more likely the numbers will be right, or the more likely they'll be close enough. So 628, 5323, and it's probably quite fussy about format, so try and get it exactly right. So the easting is 6 numbers if we ignore the 0 on the front that's inherently there, and the northing will be 7 numbers. So if we've got that number right, click somewhere else, I suggest in the comments, and that should be now saved. And therefore, if we that pin will no longer be where we put it. Now, generally, I go View, and it should go to the screen with the pin in the middle. So we can see that flag hiding there in amongst Moogamurra. If I click on it, I can see that it's tutorial P1. So I know it's the right flag in case you've got other flags there. And if we drop down that menu and go edit mark again, we can see that is in fact the point. Now I would like to point out the reason I like to go View is it puts it in the middle of the screen. If I'd not done View and just done Done, the flag would have moved off the screen, and it might have been, you know, I think we were down here somewhere before, and it might not have even been on the screen. So I think we were here, and if I hadn't gone View, the flag would have been up there, and it would have been a bit hard to find. But if you just go Done without View, it's all recoverable. There is an icon, the second last icon at the bottom of the screen looks like a list. If you click on that list, you've got, you know, a list of points. And if we look down that list of points, I've got a tutorial P1 there. And if I click on that one, it brings up the point we just created. Then I can go View, and there I am in the middle of the screen. So there we go. That's how we drop a point on based on a particular coordinate system. So let's go to the next point. So the next point is in latitude and longitude. Now, let's copy that one to make it easy for us. And go back to our map. And the point is going to be somewhere around here. So let's drop our point on the map. Let's call it tutorial P2. Now we've got a bit of a problem here. The coordinate that we want to put in is a latitude and longitude. And if we want to type a latitude and longitude in here, it is not going to work. This position is in UTM, so we're going to need to do something else. So I'm just going to go Done on that at the moment and come back to it. So if you push at the bottom right of the screen, there's an arrow pointing to the right. And if we push that, it takes us to a secondary screen in Memory Maps. And in the middle of that screen, there's a cog, which is for settings. And if we click on settings, we get a menu, and in that menu, there's a units. If we click on units, we've got various options. One of them is position format. So then I'm going to click on position format because we want to change the position format that we're working in. So you've got to pick the right format here so that you can enter the coordinates as they're listed. So the longitude format, there's three of them there. One's in degrees, minutes, and seconds, which is a little bit, but the one, and there's degrees also, but the one we want lists it in degrees and minutes. So it's beyond the scope of this video, but if you don't if you're not clear on the difference between those, you'll need to review that. But I'm going to click on degrees and minutes. And you can see, for example, that position format in the middle of the screen has now changed from a UTM position format into a lat long format in degrees and minutes. Then I can go back to press the left arrow at the bottom left of the screen to go back to the map screen, which is not clicking for me for reasons I don't know. There we go. So there we can still see the pin that we dropped before. Tutorial 2 we saw came up. And if we drop the menu down again on that and go edit the mark, now we can see that UTM format has changed into latitude and longitude. So while we're looking at that, note that if we want to convert a latitude to longitude, all we need to do is put the point in here. Say we want to convert from latitude and longitude to UTM, we can enter the format in latitude and longitude, and then go to the settings as we just did and go to units and position format and then change to UTM. And this point, it's the same point, same location on the map, but it'll be changed to UTM, and then we can use the UTM format and vice versa. Anyway, there it is there, but this point's still not where we want it to be. So again, we just need to go and edit these to make it what we need to be. So this point is pretty close. So in actual fact, we only need to change this part to 506. Then I'm going to move the cursor over just to change the bits we need to change. And that way it's easy to remember the format. It's a bit easy here because this format's exactly the same. But, you know, if you're typing it from scratch or a bit of paper, it can get a bit confusing. I'm not exactly sure how to do a degree symbol, and I think, you know, a second symbol would probably be, and sorry, a minute symbol would be relatively easy probably, but you're guessing. So I prefer to just, you know, use the cursor, just change the numbers as I've done there. So I just take the cursor down to the comments, and that will, you know, make it take effect, and then we can press the view button. And that flag should now be in the middle of the screen. Again, it's hiding under Mugamara there, but if we click on it, we can see the name flashed up briefly, Tutorial 2, and we can sort of, if we miss that, we can edit the mark by dropping down the menu, pressing edit, and you know, check all the details are right. So that's how to do latitude and longitude, create the positions. I'm just going to demonstrate again, edit that mark. We've still got it in the lat longitude format that we had it in, but say we, you know, in the RFS we like to work in UTM, so let's look at that format in UTM. So we can go to the settings again and the units, and position format, and we can change it back to UTM WGS 84 with bands. The bands add the the 56H, and we can see that position is in UTM again. So we go back to the map, and if we look at that point again, that exact same point, we can see that is the UTM for that longitude coordinate we put in, and we can see in the comments is that, and if you need to give a UTM coordinate, there it is. All right, let's do the final one. So this final one is an 8-digit UTM grid reference. 8-digit UTM grid references chop out a certain amount of information, where UTM is measured in meters, and the 14-digit one above gives us down to 1 meter, and 8-digit grid references gives us a box of 10 meters. So it takes the bottom number off, or the rightmost number off the easting and the northing, and it also takes the number off the front. So this grid reference can apply multiple times in the zone, but usually in the RFS we're working in a small area. So, when usually people are giving you 8 different grid references, or you're working with, or you're giving people 8 different grid references, it's probably working on the assumption that they pretty know reasonably where you are within, 50 Ks or something. Which map you're working on. So let's copy that one, just to make it easy to look at on the same screen. Go back to our map, repeat the process. Again, I like to move the map to a location so that the middle of the screen is free and doesn't have other flags. So when you drop the flag, which is the 4th icon from the left on the bottom of the screen, it drops in the middle of the screen. So we've created, it's called it P2, but let's drop the blue arrow down again to get the menu, edit the mark. Let's name it straight away. So tutorial P3. Now, and I'm going to paste in the comments just to, so we can see it there. Now, we're working on the assumption that this 8-digit is close to where we've been working, and we should be able to insert it in. So let's start with the easting, and we've got to figure out what to change. So 8-digit grid reference is a 10-meter box. So we know the last digit, we can change that to a 0, and then it's the easting is the next 4 digits here, and we can see that it's lining up. So the one that we want to put in is 2087. The 20 number is effectively kilometers. Remember, this is all in meters. So the first 3 digits are sort of meters, or hundreds of meters, and then these numbers here to the left of the cursor, 20, that's 20 kilometers. So we can see the first bit's 2087, so we just need to change this 65 to 87 to get that easting as the 8-digit reference. We've got to, although they're giving us 8-digit reference, this is a computer and it needs to know all the numbers to be able to put it uniquely on the map. So we'll do the same on the northing. So we don't get to cut out the that final number, but we make it 0. And then we make the next 4 digits. This is 8528, but we need it to be 8451. So we go back as far as we need to do, 51. So that should be the point that we're after. It's beyond the scope of it to explain properly how to make, determine the 8-digit or 6-digit reference, but look at the appropriate training to get that information. And that should be our third point. So again, just move to comments so that takes effect and we can go view. And that should take us to a screen with that flag right in the middle. So we click on the flag, we can see that's tutorial point 3. We go into it, we can edit the mark and just validate it's the right point. Scrolling out, it's in the same area as those other points. So point 1, point 2, and point 3. I hope that's useful. That's about all for now, but get on memory maps and play with it. There's no substitute for practical learning. Thank you.